This is fake. But can she be trusted? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. The infamous picture that you see before you contains two narcissists. It also contains two lieutenants. It might also be said to include two victims of narcissists as well. A complex interplay between Prince Andrew, Virginia Giuffre, and Ghislaine Maxwell. Some further revelations from Ghislaine Maxwell has resulted in interesting information being provided, which bears analysis with regard to the status of Prince Andrew as a narcissist and Ghislaine Maxwell as one also. As per Gabrielle Pogrund, writing for The Times, in an office at a federal courthouse in downtown Tallahassee, the capital city of Florida, Ghislaine Maxwell tasted something resembling freedom last month. Outside of prison for the first time since being convicted of child sex trafficking crimes, threat to control, she sat before Todd Blanche, President Trump's Deputy Attorney General, for two interviews on July 24th and July 25th. The first lasted 6 hours, the second half as long. The British socialite's objective was simple: to persuade Blanche she was unaware of any crimes committed by her on-off lover, Jeffrey Epstein, another narcissist. She hoped that by doing so, she might have her sentence lessened, nullification of threat to control, or better still, even be pardoned, complete removal of threat to control. Blanche was there to try to contain the controversy and conspiracy theories that have hovered over the case since Epstein's death by apparent suicide in 2019. Maxwell, aged 63, used the interviews to respond to claims which, having declined to testify at trial, assertion of control by withdrawal, she has never publicly addressed before. She said that she was wholly innocent. Well, she's bound to do so, isn't she? But of course, in the warped mind of the narcissist, that is her truth. She also stated that a supposed Epstein client list does not exist, and that she never witnessed her former lover blackmail anyone. All rather interesting allegations, and coming from the mouth of the narcissist, bears this question. We know that Ghislaine Maxwell is seeking the prime aims. But is she doing by utilising the truth as others know it to be, half-truths, or nowhere near the truth, in other words, her own truth? What was also interesting was in the course of the discussions, she did offer detailed and extraordinary testimony about Epstein's relationship with politicians, financiers, and celebrities, and among them was Prince Andrew, the Duke of York, who stepped back from public life over allegations he had sex with one of Epstein's teenage victims, Virginia Giuffre. On Friday, Maxwell was back in federal prison when the Justice Department released the transcript and audio of the interviews. Here are some of the most eye-catching claims about her British friends. First of all, she maintains that she did not introduce Jeffrey Epstein to Prince Andrew. It's long been asserted that this was the case, that she as a lieutenant for the narcissist Epstein facilitated the introduction, a triumvirate of narcissists, with one, the prince, being introduced by her, another narcissist, to a third, Epstein. Maxwell has previously stated under oath that she did not introduce Epstein to Prince Andrew. On April the 22nd, 2016, as part of Giuffre's defamation claim against her, Maxwell was asked how the pair met. She responded, "I do not know Jeffrey met Prince Andrew. What I do know is that I did not introduce them." She now claims that she does recall how the financier met the Duke. The alleged link was Lynn Forrester, Lady de Rothschild, a British-American businesswoman. She was married to Sir Evelyn de Rothschild, a financier to whom she was introduced by Henry Kissinger and who left most of his £187 million fortune to her. Maxwell has been repeatedly accused of bringing Epstein and the Duke together. But she said, I did not introduce him to Prince Andrew or to Sarah Fergie Ferguson. That is a flat untruth. I'll start with that. She said that Forrester, who was a client or some type of client, I think she actually tried to date him or might have dated him, had a house in Massachusetts. I can't remember. And that Forrester invited Epstein to go, and I believe that's when he met Prince Andrew. She added, however, I believe that before that event, he had gone to the Bahamas and had hung out with Sarah Ferguson, and Sarah had called Epstein and had arranged with Lynn, or I don't know, now I'm speculating. Anyway, long and short, he met Andrew up there. Accordingly, it looks like Ghislaine Maxwell is now maintaining that she had no involvement in that introduction and has suddenly now been able to explain how the circumstances of Epstein and Prince Andrew came to meet. This again is bad news for Prince Andrew, as it resurrects again his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and amounts to a threat to his control. But is Ghislaine Maxwell to be believed? After all, she's a self-serving narcissist and may well, of course, be stating these things simply to preserve her own position, to ensure that she receives a lighter sentence, a reduced sentence, or a pardon altogether. How much can she be trusted? She went on to explain that her friendship with Prince Andrew was transformed by the experience of seeing him in New York, apparently in the 2000s. She said, at some point Epstein told me, that Andrew was coming to New York and I needed to organise the whole thing. That's classic, by the way, classic Epstein. I'm like, all right, fine, whatever. Note here that the more controlling of the two, Epstein, or perhaps I should say the more powerful, was instructing Ghislaine Maxwell as his lieutenant to organise on his behalf. Maxwell said, and because he wanted to make sure that Andrew was taken care of and that he was comfortable, he had whatever he needed, yada, yada, yada. Despite overseeing the visit and already knowing the Duke socially, Maxwell recalled a sore point was that she did not know if Epstein would let her see Andrew. When she belatedly asked Epstein, he told her, well, you can come and say hello, which again demonstrates the more powerful in the relationship whereby Epstein is giving her permission or not to be involved with Prince Andrew. Maxwell continued, so Andrew came, and of course the minute we got together I was like, yay, hi. And then it was so nice because the difference of being in England with Prince Andrew versus being in New York without all the bullshit was insane. And our friendship just lit up like this. Because first of all, he knew that I'm safe. I mean safe as in I'm not, Nigel Dempster, who's the former Daily Express gossip columnist, or I'm taking a picture of him. And we honestly got on like a house on fire. I really liked him a lot. And it was so nice, and we just became really, really good friends. Much more so than when we are in London, if I'm honest. So, once again, this is demonstrative of the way that the link continues between Ghislaine Maxwell, who has been convicted of the various crimes, and maintains that the link stays in the mind of the public, which is problematic, of course, for Prince Andrew, because these allegations just simply will not go away. She also went on to state that the claims against Andrew were mind-blowingly not conceivable. So on the one hand, her interview perpetuates the link, which is problematic for Prince Andrew, but it also appears that she's seeking to do him a favour. You'll all recall that the Duke of York stepped back from public duties following the Newsnight interview, which was an absolute car crash in which he was quizzed about claims that Virginia Giuffre was trafficked and made to have sex with him. He, of course, denied all of the allegations, the narcissist twin lines of defence, the first of which being denial. Maxwell also claimed that this was impossible. First, she said, that the bath at her London property, in which the sex allegedly occurred, was too small for intercourse to take place. Blanche, interviewing, said, "So you think it's kind of logistically and physical not something that could have happened?" She answered, "Well, there's that, and there's just, Andrew, well, he's so English. He had a tie on." And then Maxwell once again repeated her long-standing assertion that the photograph, which you see in the thumbnail, depicting Andrew with his arm draped around a young Giuffre in Maxwell's London property, is a forgery. She described the famous photo as fake. She also said Giuffre could not possibly have had sex in her home, given the fact that she was busy attending her mother's birthday celebrations that weekend. The allegations against Andrew were, she claimed, mind-blowingly not conceivable. Now, in the circumstances, you might wonder, why would this narcissist seek to defend another narcissist? Why would she, in a way, go out of her way to say that photograph is fake, he didn't have sex with Virginia Giuffre? After all, why does she feel that she owes Prince Andrew anything? Is this some vestige of loyalty being exhibited by a narcissist? And of course, it's not. Ghislaine Maxwell has already been established as a repeatedly unreliable individual, which was the case in previous trials. However, she is naturally going to suggest that the photograph is fake in order to protect her own position. This doesn't mean, of course, that she's necessarily lying. It may well be that it was fake, and therefore, typical narcissist that she is using that truth to protect her position, to nullify the threat to control because of her own involvement with Giuffre and Prince Andrew. Of course, the alternative is that it was a genuine photograph, and that she seeks to undermine the position of Virginia Giuffre, who now can't say anything further because she is dead, in order also to protect her own position. And thus, she continues to maintain that the photograph is fake. She continues to maintain that Prince Andrew could not have had sex with Virginia Giuffre. This isn't born out of any loyalty between narcissists, but is rather once again the self-serving nature of the narcissist that is Ghislaine Maxwell, whereby denying that Virginia Giuffre was used in this way is done in order to protect herself, and it just so happens to somewhat protect Prince Andrew. Furthermore, it's only being done now because she senses that there is the possibility that she may gain from giving such information. And therefore, what she does is she explains that she didn't perfect the introduction, but brings it up once again, which is problematic for Prince Andrew. Thus, it's not a case of her wanting to defend him overall, because she keeps making mention of his involvement with Epstein and claiming she wasn't involved. None of this is about defending Prince Andrew. It's simply about protecting her own position, the pursuit of the prime aims, because she is looking to get a lighter sentence. And lo and behold, there she is with the potential to gain the same or possibly a pardon, because naturally this would suit her vis-à-vis the pursuit of the prime aims, and if it happens to suit Prince Andrew, so what? And if it doesn't, for instance, and keep raising these allegations in his connection with Jeffrey Epstein, then naturally she doesn't care. Because for all of her protestations about getting on so well with Prince Andrew, the fact is she's a self-absorbed narcissist, and one that is only ever going to serve her own purposes. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.